I'm Hartmann here with you, and on the line with us is George Lynn, psychotherapist, the author of 5 books, including his latest, Breaking the Trance, a practical guide for parenting the screen-dependent child, with Cynthia C. Johnson. And you'll find a blurb on the back of the book written by me. I endorse this book. George, welcome back to the program. It's been a few years since you've been on, or it's been a while since you've been on. It's nice to have you back with us.
Thank you for having me, Thom.
Your book deals with basically screen addiction. Television addiction was kind of the older version of it. The newer version of it is computer addiction and social media addiction. And one of the most fascinating parts of your book I found was your chapter number 5, The Gangster, the Golem, and the Charmer, how becoming screen dependent changes a child's personality. Tell us about that.
Yes. Well, in the book, Thom, we are trying to provide a blueprint for what parents can do to introduce moderation in their kids' use of screen media. We don't demonize screen media, but in that particular chapter, we suggest that if kids are chronically on their media, and it depends on what media they're on in terms of sort of how this evolves, but there are manipulative personality types that kind of come out of this that are characteristic across the board. As a psychotherapist, I see these coming in the room here. The kids are they either tend to be very angry, and this is the more extreme type. They will, throw things, break things if they're denied access to recreational screen media, such as video games. They become very weak. And we talk in the book about something we call a boy's weakness syndrome, which has to do with not, exercising enough, not being out in the open air enough. They develop a variety of syndromes. Typically, the psychiatric, diagnosis would be depression or anxiety, or they become very manipulative. We call that the charmer type. They can be very compliant with, requirements, very reassuring, but what they're really interested in is getting back to their recreational screen media. That's the most important thing for them. So
what we're seeing is that, and you're framing this in the book, and I get it, why, and that this is basically a book for parents, how screen media is essentially addictive and how it actually changes personality, it rewires brains, all these other things. I'm curious, though, if you could put your psychotherapist hat on. I guess you wear it all the time, or metaphorically. And I'm wondering what impact you think that social media and which is the essence of screen addiction or a large part of it, is playing in the bizarre nature of American politics right now.
Oh, social media. Well, one of the things that we see with social media, Thom, is that one of the outcomes, the psychological outcomes of social media, too much social media use, too much dependence on it. And we would say the book is written for the moderate, the middle of the curve right now in terms of media use, which is 8 hours a day or so for a middle schooler and 11 to 14 hours a day for a high schooler. So
wait a minute. Are you saying that the average middle schooler spends 8 hours a day looking at a computer screen?
Yes, sir.
Oh my God, that's more than I do. And I do this for a living.
Yes. Well, that's the deal. Kids, typically, if you'll remember growing up, you did a lot of other things, growing up.
Yeah.
Would just sort of take you out into the world. But now, kids are kind of conditioned to this. They take their devices to school. They're on their devices during class.
And their parents like it because it's like, A, it's a babysitter, and B, you don't have to worry. Did the kid go down to the local park or was he kidnapped?
Exactly. It keeps them quiet. But the problem with this babysitter, the electronic babysitter, is it has teeth. And it does change kids. When you mention the social media piece, the end result of too much social media, in fact, too much video gaming, is high anxiety. So what we have when a child gets highly anxious, they lose a sense of themselves. And what we're saying in this book is that if parents don't get a handle on this, And we try to provide a vision for how they can get a handle on it in the book. If they don't get a handle on it, a kid's identity isn't going to develop. He's not going to have a sense of himself. And so when you asked about, politics, if the voting age is 18, by the time a kid is 18 years old or 19 or 20, he's not going to really know where he stands on anything. He's going to be able to be blown this way or that way, depending on how effective, a particular pitch is to him. So we think that it's essential, for our evolution as a society and for the preparation, excuse me, of our kids that they learn to think critically and look at the issues critically. And that means that they're not on their media 8 hours a day or 14 hours a day, whatever it is.
Yeah, not to mention just, the good old-fashioned exercise and the psychological value of being outdoors and amidst green things. Something you just said triggered a thought in me. You said that, when people are subject to prolonged anxiety, they lose their sense of self, and then they become vulnerable essentially to somebody who says, well, here's who you are. Isn't that the formula that Roger Ailes has put into place over at Fox So-Called News? Scare the crap out of people and then say, but, just join us. Join Sean Hannity. Become part of Make America Great. Become a Republican. Just, and we'll all together get through this.
Yes. Well, yeah. You see echoes of Aldous Huxley's famous classic there, Thom, Brave New World. Yeah. Everybody is happy nowadays. That was one of the things they would chant. And one of the things we see with too much screen media is kids do get, I hate to use the word soft, but they don't like challenge, they don't like novelty, they don't like difficulty. So if somebody, and that's one of the reasons their grades go south, pretty much, right about the same time that they get hooked on it. So what this means again, later on when they start voting, if somebody tells them this is the easy way to go, they're going to take the easy way to go. They're not going to look, deeper than that particular pitch. So we're concerned about it. In the book, we try to tell parents, okay, you guys, you need a map. You need a blueprint. We've seen this. My co-author goes into people's houses and sees how this plays out in terms of family dynamics. I see it when they come into my, consultation room here where I do my psychotherapeutic business. So we try to help parents understand what they're dealing with so that they can institute appropriate controls and help their kids, identity grow normally.
Yeah, it's a remarkable book. It's called Breaking the Trance, A Practical Guide for Parenting the Screen-Dependent Child by George T. Lynn and Cynthia C. Johnson. And I highly recommend it. George, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much.
Great talking. We'll be back. Stick around.